Hello everyone and welcome to this introduction to Wakib, a starter kit for Emacs. Emacs is a wonderful text editor, but it can kind of be difficult to pick up and learn, and this starter kit hopes to fix that. Now here's Emacs once you have Wakib installed, and the first thing this does is use common shortcuts everywhere. So if you check out the toolbar, then you notice that the new file, open file, save, print, quit, they all use common shortcut conventions. Now let's get started using it. So for example, let's open up a demo file and you can search, you can copy, paste, cut, paste, and you'll notice that all of it works immediately. This does not use the Emacs compatibility mode. There's no timers to wait for. Everything works exactly as you'd expect it. Now let's reopen the file. So the question that veteran Emacs users would be asking now is, now that you've replaced Control-C and Control-X, which are common shortcuts in Emacs, how do you use these shortcuts in Wakib? Well, the way it works is extended shortcuts work with the Control-E shortcut. This is a change from the Control-X, and extended shortcuts are generally things that are less common used, like for example insert file. Say I want to insert a file at the end of this file. So that's Control-EI, and then I can tack on another file at the end of this file. The second common shortcut deals with mode-specific commands, which are basically commands related to the current mode or file type. This is a basic text file, and in Wakib it defaults to org mode, which allows you to do some really useful commands. These shortcuts start with Control-D, a change from the standard Emacs Control-C, and it again is accurately represented in the toolbar, which can be very useful if you ever forget how the shortcuts work. So if I wanted to export this text file, I would go Control-D, Control-E, and you get the option to export it to HTML or PDF or whatever else you'd want to. And there you go. You have a PDF, which is really cool. If you're using a C++ file or a Ruby file or even an ELISP file, you would have your own mode-specific shortcuts for that specific mode. So there isn't much you need to learn to start using Emacs under Wakib. Everything works as you would expect out of the box, or at least once you add the starter kit. You have access to all the good stuff that Emacs provides, in addition to obvious stuff like syntax highlighting. You get great language support, code snippets, amazing version control integration, and much more. Now, one of the great things about Emacs or Vim, and why many people swear by them, is how efficient they are. When you move around, you don't use the arrow keys or the mouse. You keep your fingers as close as possible to the home keys. What this starter kit seeks to do is come up with a system that is just as efficient while being more ergonomic and easier to learn. So let's switch back. Now all shortcuts that are used extremely frequently will be linked to the Alt modifier key. So for example, moving the cursor instead of using the arrow keys, you can use the same inverse T configuration with the I, J, K, L keys. So you can move right, down, left, up. If you'd like to move by word, then you just use the keys above the left and right keys. So you move right by word, left by word. Holding Shift changes word to beginning of the line and end of the line. Holding Shift also changes up and down to go down by page, up by page. Left and right becomes moving by paragraph, left and right, like so. And if I wanted to move to the beginning of the document, it's Alt-N, end of the document Alt-Shift-N, Alt-N again. And let's say I was down here and I wanted to move to the first S in Starship on the first line. Well, I would just type Alt-M to move, type the character I want to go to, and type all the letters that show up, and I can jump straight to that letter. Let's say the V here in given. Alt M, V, and I'm jumping straight to that character. And that's an easy way to move anywhere you want in the document to a specific character. So while the right hand side of the keyboard deals with movement, the left hand side deals with stuff like deleting. So if I wanted to go back and delete a character, it's Alt D, Alt F deletes it forward. Again, the keys right above them delete by word, back and forward. I can delete by holding Shift to the beginning of the line, end of the line. If I want to delete an entire line, that's Alt W. One of the features of this starter kit introduces the concept of the next button, where the function of the key depends on the context which you're using it in. For example, let me start searching for a word, and I can use the shortcut, which is Alt semicolon, to go to the next iteration, or Alt Shift semicolon goes back. So this brings in the concept of next and previous, which is going to be very powerful as we move forward. Next we'll show how to select objects. That'll be with Alt S, and you can move forward, back. If you hold Shift, it becomes a rectangular select. This can also be really useful. For example, you can do stuff like that. Now to select an entire line, it's Alt A. Do it again to select a paragraph, once more time to select the entire document. Now let's say I have the middle paragraph selected, and I also wanted to select the paragraphs around it. Moving the cursor only moves one end. So what I can do is press the Wakib's next button, and it'll move the cursor to the other end of the selection. This will allow me to select the paragraph before it. Now let's say I want to copy this line and place it instead of this line right here. If I were to delete this line and paste, you would see that I would get the exact same line I just deleted. The reason for this is the way Emacs works. Anything you delete that's more than one character automatically gets added to the clipboard or the anchoring. But let's say I don't want the last thing I deleted. I want the thing that I copied previously. Well, I just have to traverse the clipboard. And the way of doing that, again, here is with the next button. If I had pasted something and I were to click next, this is the line I want to copy. Another way of doing this is, let's say I can hold Shift while pasting and I get all the options that are in the clipboard, and I can select whatever I want to add. Another thing that could be done is you can split the window horizontally with Alt 4. You can hop between them with Alt H. You can split it vertically by holding Shift and Alt 4. Again, Alt H jumps between them. If you have a arrangement that's kind of silly, like let's say this, then you can hold Alt, Shift and H, and you can select which window you want to hop to directly. Another feature is when you're in this mode, you can also use the I, J, K, L keys to resize the windows. One last thing I wanted to show is you can execute a file or any script with a simple press of a button, which is also a cool feature to have if you just want to run a quick script or learn encoding. So these are just some of the stuff you can do with Wakib and Emacs. The link to the starter kit is in the video description below, where you'll find everything you need to get started. If you're interested in just the shortcuts that you want to attach to your own Emacs setup, then the Wakib Keys minor mode is available in the Melpa repository. There's also a link to that minor mode in the starter kit website. If there are any comments or suggestions, please feel free to post them below or on the project GitHub page. Thanks.